Hello friends, in this session we will discuss about string methods which are in JavaScript like slice, substring and substr. So basically most three are used when you have create a any string. Okay, so you may use slice, substring or substr. Okay, so we will discuss what are the differences and how can we use, where we can use. Okay, so start by. Okay, so let's suppose we have a string here called return connect which is stored in variable a. Okay, now we will going to use this one for all differences. Okay, so what are the syntax basically for all of three we have to write first. Okay, so if we say about slice, then you have two parameter, start or end. Okay, so you may have start and end parameter here. Okay, now if you want to substring substr, okay, then substr will have start index. Okay, and you will have length. Okay, means how much you want to get. Okay, and then have substring whose parameters are start, same as end. Okay, so these three methods are used to get a subset of any string, and these are all the parameters. So how they are different with each other we will discuss point to point. Okay, so first point what we will discuss is whether the parameters are optional or not. Okay, so if you use slice then it is optional or not, whether it is optional or not. Okay, so the thing is that all the parameters inside all of the three are optional. If you pass the start or end, then it will work. Otherwise, you will get returned whatever the string you are passing. Okay, with new memory. Okay, so we will console dot log a dot slice. Okay, so you can see in console if you don't have any parameter, then you will get whatever you have passed. So okay, so if you console with substr substr, then you will also get the same whatever you have in string. Okay, then if you have substring, then you have also the same. That means all the parameters inside the slice, substr and substrings are optional. Okay, it will not throw any error if you don't pass any parameter. Okay, now come to the another point, which is what is the value of first index. Okay, so if you pass a first index in slice, let's suppose 2, that means 0 1 2, it will start from I. Okay, so if you pass from 2, so it starts from 2 and it returns all of the rest over. Okay, because we haven't passed the second argument, that means second argument is optional. Okay, and if you pass in 2 substring, okay, then you get the same. Okay, and if you pass the 2 inside this, then you again get the same. That means first scenario what we have discussed, scenario, we will write the scenario. Okay, scenario 1 scenario. Okay, scenario. So in scenario 1 what we have discussed, both parameters are optional. Okay, and in second what we have discussed, if first, if only first parameter is passed, and the first it has two scenario more sub scenario. If the first parameter is positive, okay, if the first parameter is passed, if only the first parameter is passed, and the first scenario is what we have seen, it is positive. What happens if it will be negative? Means the first parameter will be negative. Then what will happen? So if we pass the first parameter negative, you can see it is returning from last two. That means if you will say -1, then it will start from the end. If you will say -2, then will count up to 2. If you write -7 here, then you will get up to here. Connect. That means it is, if you give negative, it starts from the end. Similarly, what happen if we use in substring? In substring, what you see, if you pass -2, it also starts from the end, okay, and up to 2. If you pass 2, if you pass 7, it will also return up to 7 from the end. That means if you pass positive, then it starts from the here starting. If you pass negative value, then it will start from the end in slice case and substr. But what will happen if you pass negative in substring? It will return full, because the negative in first index means that it will consider at 0. It will not go for at the end. Okay, that means in these two cases, negative will start counting from back, and in substring, if you pass negative, it will not work. It will assume negative as a 0 and will start from 0. And if you pass similarly with 0 index, it will return same. That means if you pass negative in first of substring, then it will consider it 0. Okay, so we have discussed with negative. If negative, okay, if negative, 2 will work, third will return the whole, because it will not count from the end, it will consider from the 0th position. Okay, now the third scenario is what if the last argument will be negative. Okay, so let's suppose we have a starting index as 2 here. Okay, so the third scenario, if last if second parameter is passed, then we have three scenario here, that the last one will be positive, the last parameter will be negative, okay, and the third will be combining both first and last as negative. Okay, first will be negative and then second will be negative. This is the main scenario. Okay, so for coming to this one, if we pass in slice, starting from start index is, you can say start index is 2, okay, and the last one is the end. If you will give the end, then you will, if you give the end same, then you will give empty, okay, because it will not return, because it doesn't consider the last element. Okay, if you give the end number, then it will not consider, means it will exclude the last one. Okay, so if you give it 3, then it will return only I. Okay, if you give it 7, then it will count from here, means 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It will not return the seventh one. Okay, that means it will exclude this number. Okay, similarly, what will happen if you pass this to here? Okay, so you can see, if you have seen here, see, in substring we have from, means starting point. Okay, and then we have a length, means how much you want to get. Okay, so if you give the length like 7, then you will have the result with 7 number count. Okay, means the returning string will be of 7 digit. Okay, if there is up to 7. Okay, but if you write like this, then you will get maximum. If you write the number which is more than your string length, then it will return all the digits. Okay, so if you give the 7, here you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7. Up to this you will get. So that means this is including the last parameter. Okay, now what will happen if you will use 7 with substring? The same case happens exactly what we have done in slice, because it is using the starting and the end. That means end is not included. That means int is not included in this case and in this case as well. Okay, if it will only work if you have a length, then it will return. If you pass the number, okay, then it will include. Okay, now the second scenario is, if the second parameter is negative, what will happen? So you can see, if you give the positive and then we have negative, then it will start from here. Okay, and it will count -7, means -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. That means this will not going to include. Okay, the starting is from 2. Okay, and up to this is excluded, then you will get only this result. Okay, that means it is not going to include up to -7. Okay, similarly, what will happen if you have minus string of minus length in substr? Okay, that means it will not work if you pass second as negative. Okay, if you pass second as negative, then it will not work. Similarly, what will happen if we'll have in substring? That means substring considered at 0, considers it at 0. Okay, and it will return from here. Okay, and it will not include this one. It will return up to this one. That means it will start from 2. Okay, that means if you pass negative, that means it is in considering it 0. Okay, then it is considering it as 0, so it will swap the value. It will swap this value up to first, and it will swap this to end. That means it will start from this and will end excluding this 2. That means it will not include this, it will swap to this. That means if you pass negative parameter, okay, if you pass negative parameter, okay, inside the end, then it will swap the value. Okay, if the first parameter is positive, then it will swap the value, otherwise it will return empty if you give all the negative. Okay, so in this case we will have swap value here, means this considered as 0 and it comes to the starting, and then we have 2 as the end point. Okay, so now what will happen if we have both negative? Let's suppose we have -2 in slice. Okay, so what will happen if you have both as a negative? Then it will consider from this. Okay, and this will include from exclude up to 7. That means it will not return anything. Okay, because it is starting from this point E and it is excluding the whole this one. That means it is excluding this one. Okay, so if you have 7 here and if you have -2 here, then you will get something, because you are starting from here and you are ending up to here. That means it will not include it up to 2, minus up to, because minus will start from negative end, negative will start from the end. That means here it will start and end up to this one. Okay, you will get this one. Similarly, what will happen if you have substring negative? Okay, similarly, if you have some string both are negative, then you will have an empty. If you have, let's suppose, minus, then it will also be empty. Okay, so in both scenario, okay, if you swap the number, you will get empty string. Okay, that means it will not going to work, because length will not be 0. Length should not be 0. Otherwise, it will return negative. It will return nothing. Okay, if we have minus here both, then what will happen? Then again, you will get nothing. If you swap like this, then you will get nothing. Okay, that means in only the slice case, if the both are negative, then it will work. In the rest to both substring and substr, it will not return anything. Okay, okay, now what will happen? Okay, so means that means index exclusively, the character at the index will not included. That means if you see the last index, it will not be included. This will also not included. If you pass the length, then only it will be included. Okay, okay, so these were all the basic differences between the substring slice and substr. Okay, subscribe our channel for more coming videos on the JavaScript topics. Okay, thanks for watching now.